Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. Wednesday, May the 8th. Ian Cameron, Connor Mack will be here momentarily. We'll preview the rest, what's left of the MLB card for this Wednesday. A lot of day games today, as we often have on a Wednesday. So not as many games still on the board, but we've still got probably about 7 or 8 games in MLB. We'll also talk the only NBA playoff game tonight in town, the Pacers and Knicks playing game 2 of their Eastern Conference semifinal series. So that's on the menu. We'll start as we always do with baseball, and we will begin with it's the second game of a day-night doubleheader. Well, actually, it's a daytime doubleheader out there because it's in Oakland, but second game of the doubleheader, Texas and Oakland. The pitching matchup, Jack Leiter and Osvaldo Bido, the matchup here, Bido, I should say, for the Oakland Athletics. We've got the Rangers here, minus 130. Road favorites, 8 the total in this game. I like the over in the first game that's currently going on, as well as a little piece of Oakland with Jack Sears on the mound, who I think is actually not bad for the A's. This game, I like the over. I think Jack Leiter in time is going to be good, but he's still a very raw, unfinished product, if you ask me, as a starting pitcher. I think there's still some issues to work out. When you look at Leiter, the last time he started back in April, it was not pretty for him against Detroit. 7 runs, 8 hits, 3.2 innings. Got roughed up by the Detroit Tigers. We'll see how he fares here, and he's got good stuff. Absolutely, he does. But there's definitely a sign that maybe he needs a little more seasoning. Not ready quite yet for the major league level. Osvaldo Bido on the mound for Oakland. He was a member of the Pirates organization last year. Really wasn't that good. 5.86 ERA. So put the two together, and I think, total of 8 looks a little light to me. I would probably look at the over there when it comes to Texas and Oakland, the second game of that doubleheader. All right, next up, we've got the not the Cardinals. I'm thinking football. The Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Jordan Montgomery, the lefty for the D-backs. Graham Ashcraft for the Reds. We've got pretty much even money here, minus 110, the total of 9 here with these two pitchers. You look at Arizona, it's a team that on the road has not been all that good. We know that, although they did win the opener of this series 6-2 last night, getting a nice performance from Zach Gallen in that start for the Diamondbacks. We'll see if they can maintain it. It's been a rough stretch for Cincinnati. They've now lost 6 in a row, swept over the weekend by the Baltimore Orioles. Ashcraft, though, is one of those pitchers. I think he's not bad. I think he's pretty serviceable, pretty solid. The one concern I would have, though, for Ashcraft is look at these starts in Cincinnati. On the road, he's been very good, but he's got a very sharp home road split going on. Ashcraft on the road, he gave up just 2 runs to the Padres, 1 to the Rangers, 2 to the White Sox. But you look at what he's done here at Great American, 6 runs in 5.2 innings against Milwaukee, 5 runs, 5 innings against the Angels. So 2 starts here at home, and he didn't really pitch all that great. So we'll see how he fares in this one. Montgomery hasn't been as sharp this year for the Diamondbacks compared to, obviously, in the run to the World Series last year for Texas, how good he was. But he's 1-4 in his last 5 starts, 6 runs in his last outing. This is another one where I'd probably bet over, if anything here. Warm Wednesday night in Cincinnati. It's very mild in the Northeast today. Very windy as well. And the winds might be blowing out actually a little bit here in this game. So with the sharp home road split that we see going on with Ashcraft, I think it's one of those situations where you've definitely got a situation where I think we could see some runs here tonight between the Diamondbacks and the Reds. We move on to Baltimore and Washington. Kyle Bradish, Mitchell Parker, your matchup here. Baltimore, about a minus 160 to minus 170 road favorite, 8.5 the total here in this game. I think it's a nice bounce back spot for Baltimore. I'm a fan of Kyle Bradish. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. I expect him to pitch pretty well here against the Nats, neutralize them to a certain degree. I think what's been surprising is the lefty for Washington and Mitchell Parker, how he has pitched so far. 3 runs or less in every appearance so far this season. He's pitched, 5 innings or more in 3 of the 4 starts. He's given them some length. The Nats have a 3-1 record with him on the mound. But there are some numbers that point to he's going to regress probably in a negative direction at some point. And then we have to throw in the fact that against lefties, this is the better split for this Baltimore Orioles lineup. They've been historically the last few seasons a pretty good lineup against lefty pitching. This year they're hitting 272 against lefties, averaging 6.3 runs per game. So after losing the series opener last night, the Orioles getting shut out, I think it's a nice bounce back spot. I think Bradish can, keep the Nationals lineup in check. I like Baltimore first 5 here. You can lay a half a run minus 120. Baltimore -1 full game run line as well instead of laying the minus 170. Maybe a first 5 under as well, just because I think Bradish will pitch well. Look, Parker does have solid numbers, but my concern about Parker is regression is probably due for him, and the fact that Baltimore does hit better against lefty pitching. So I definitely think Baltimore bounces back here and evens up this series with a W here in this one. All right, we move along. White Sox, Rays down in Tampa Bay at the Trop. Chris Flexen for the White Sox on the mound. Aaron Savali for the Tampa Bay Rays. We've got Tampa Bay minus 250. Home favorites, 8 the total, although I'm now seeing 8.5 starting to appear, and shows you that some bettors like the over. I like the over as well in this game. I think we see this game go over the total. Chris Flexen is not someone that I have a boatload of confidence in. He's serviceable, but when you look at what he's done at times in his career, and you look back at what he's done in the past, it hasn't always been fluid. He's prone to giving up fly balls. Again, maybe that's not going to hurt him as much at Tropicana Field, but still, you look at what we've seen out of Flexen here. He had a 6.27 ERA last year, a 7.71 ERA before that. 4.85 ERA this season. He's not someone that I trust at the moment. And look, Tampa Bay, they went through their offensive doldrums for a bit, but now they've won 5 in a row. They're a hot team again. They're starting to hit 10, 3, 7, 8, 5. The runs scored for Tampa Bay in this 5-game win streak. So they're starting to hit the ball again. On the flip side for the Rays, you've got Aaron Savali on the mound for them, and he has really struggled in his last 3 starts. Against the Yankees, this White Sox team, he got crushed, and his last start against the Mets, he also got hammered. Last 3 starts against those teams, he has given up 18 runs in his last 13 innings. So that's not good at all. You hope the White Sox can definitely do some damage here. So I like this game up and over the total here. 8, 8.5. Shop around. There are still a few 8s out there, but I think we see runs tonight with the White Sox and the Rays down at Tropicana Field. All right, Astros, Yankees. Spaghetti Arrighetti. Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. We've got New York minus 155 to minus 160. Home favorites. The total 9.5 here in this game. Hate to be a broken record here, but again, this total has been bet up for a reason. Not a big fan of Arrighetti. Yankees probably should be able to have some success against him, although he did pitch better in his last start against Cleveland, much better, in fact, 2 runs in 5.2 innings. We'll see if he can keep that rolling here against the Yankees, but the Yankees are another team that the bats are starting to crank up for them as the weather gets warmer. They've scored 20 runs in their last 3 games, so I'm not sure I trust Arrighetti to shut down this lineup here tonight. What do you get from Carlos Rodon is the question. He had gone through a tremendous start to the year until last time he pitched against Baltimore, where he got lit up for 7 runs, 8 hits, and just 4 innings. It's a warm night at Yankee Stadium. Looks like the wind's blowing out a bit. An Astros team that historically has been very good against lefties, and they're starting to heat up against lefties right now. 5.1 runs per game, 269 average. This is a Houston team that over the years we normally trust them to do a decent job offensively with their lineup against lefties. So I agree with this move as well, with the total going up. I would look over 9.5 now is where this total is. As far as the side goes, look, I'm not a big Arrighetti fan, but I would probably lean Astros a little bit. I mean, Rodon is not a great matchup it's not a great matchup for him, in my opinion, on paper against this Astros team, which has usually hit the lefties pretty good. And you're getting a nice price here with the Astros, who, look, they've gone through obviously a lot of issues this year, not playing the kind of baseball that they are accustomed to. And they lost the first game last night 10-3. But I do think, there's a little value in the money line here with Houston. But I definitely prefer the over. than either side here in this game. All right, Boston, Atlanta, Nick Pivetta, Chris Sale, former Red Sox. Chris Sale facing his old team here. Now a member, of course, of the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta minus 205 to minus 210. Home favorites, 8.5 the total. I know Nick Pivetta's numbers look all right, but there's a lot of things that say they're not sustainable. He has been very good. There's no question. One run or less given up. Going back to last year, he's given up one run or fewer in 4 straight starts. He pitched twice early in the season against the Mariners and the A's, and he gave up just 1 run in 11 innings. So you do have to give up Pivetta, but I've seen enough of Pivetta to think some of this is fool's gold a little bit. I'm not necessarily sold on this continuing to this degree. This is what he looks like friggin' Roy Halladay all of a sudden. Connor Mack, as you see in the background there, he'll be joining us in just a moment. He's ready to go. But as far as Chris Sale is concerned, the lefty for Atlanta, last 2 starts have been really strong from him. 15 strikeouts with just 1 walk. That's the kind of ratio you want to see when Chris Sale is on his game, and that's always a big if. But after a couple of rocky starts there, especially the Miami one in mid-April, last 2 outings, Cleveland, Seattle, gives up just 2 runs in 12 innings. So definitely better performance from Chris Sale. After Atlanta, won the first game last night, they had a bad, weekend at Dodger Stadium, getting swept by the Dodgers, but they bounced back with winning the series opener. I'd probably favor Atlanta a little bit here in this one, but I'd probably play the team total instead of anything with the money line because it's obviously too expensive. So maybe Braves team total I would look at here. I'm just not a believer in Nick Pivetta. I hate to say that because he's Canadian, but a lot of the numbers point to negative regression on the way for him. C-Mac is with us now. What's up, my friend? What do you think here, Red Sox Braves?
Yeah, I mean, Sale here coming back to pitch against the Red Sox. He should be ready to roll. And he's looked good the last couple of starts. I've had this success kind of his whole career after his first few good years in Chicago, kind of fading him, and it's worked out. Obviously for guys like Sharpie, those guys that do K-props, he's solid. But he still gives up hard contact for how good he is. So I think he could maybe get hit a little bit here. But I think he could go out and pitch well. And I think Pivetta, the biggest key is Pivetta, because I want the under in this. And this has gone down to 8.5. But I still kind of like the under. Pavetta's coming off the IL, right? He hasn't pitched since April 3rd, right?
Early April. Yep, it's been a while. Yep, I don't trust
him. I hate elbows, too. Yep. So I was really looking at the under. It's just one thing I've kind of done unless I hear something or, where like he's okay, and I don't have that, but I'd like to be on the under, especially early at least. And one thing, these lineups are dangerous. The Braves, though, they are not cooking at all until they get, where's Matt Olson? Seems like he hasn't hit a home run in a long time. Ronald Acuna, too. He's hit a little bit better lately, but no extra base hits. No. It's not been good. I thought there's some good looks here, which I wouldn't think for the Red Sox, like Devers for his props. You don't usually catch his RBI at plus 200, his home run 600. Just look at it. I've had success with him in a game like this because he hits lefties just the same. Great hitter his whole career. Basically he's 290 from both sides. So look at him. I had this circled in this game. And you know what? I like the Red Sox. Pavetta's the question mark, but why not take them first 5 here? The way Boston's been playing, take a shot here on this dog early. So I am early and looking at the under.
Red Sox first. It's funny. I actually took a shot with the Red Sox last night with Cutter Crawford, and it didn't go up.
What was the number? Yeah, I know it was Crawford.
It was like plus 170 for the.
Yeah. Okay. Was that high?
Yeah. He pitched okay. It's just no run support. For him last night for Boston. But first 5 it looks like for Connor with this one. All right, the earlier games I talked about, we'll just run through them quickly. Arizona, Cincinnati. Did you do anything with that?
I don't have anything much in Arizona, Cincinnati. The Reds, they can't. There is nothing going on with those bats. right now. I mean, it is, and that's another one you think here at home. Can this be the game for them to get going against Montgomery, who hasn't looked great, but it's early in the year, 1-2 with a 5.6 ERA. Maybe I like kind of this lineup that they have today with all righties in there going through it just an hour or two ago, but it's tough to trust them right now. And I don't really want the D-backs at all either. 16-20, I don't think they've been great at all either. Ashcraft is better here at home, and this is where we want them. So I kind of like the Reds, but it's like when you have not hit a lick at all, how can you back them?
Yeah.
And I think I'm just going to stay off.
All right. Next up, because this is another one I already talked about, Baltimore and Washington. I think it's a good bounce back for the Orioles. I'm a Bradish fan. I think he's a pretty good pitcher after a tough loss last night against Washington. And by the way, the Orioles hit lefties well, and obviously they see one tonight in Mitchell Parker. So I think it's a nice bounce back for the Orioles tonight. What do you think?
Me too. You're kind of paying the tax with him. Mitchell Parker, is he this good? I think he's pretty good. You know, I mean, he's 24 years old. You know, I don't know if his ERA, is 2.25. This seems like the perfect spot for him to get hit, even at home. But I'm going to have circled to back with the Nats as plus money. Because other than the O's, Bobano, who have just probably for you two and a ton of people, this Orioles team has just made me so much money. The last 3 years, really. Last year, the year before that at the end, last year they were crazy. And to start out the year, they've been good. And even some of these series, they've been priced wrong. Now they're priced, I think, just about right here. I'm a huge Bradish fan, too. I think he's great. Will be a second start, right, since coming back.
Yep.
He looked decent there. I think he looks pretty good early. Nats get that win yesterday, and the goose egg from the Orioles. It seems like I can get back. Team total or Orioles. Them against the lefty, I can't, it's like go the other way. So I agree with you.
That's right. It's an offer we can't refuse, 100% with the Orioles against the lefty, especially off a loss.
Offer. I can't refuse. You got to do it.
No doubt. Yeah. Old school. White Sox and Rays, I think it's a pretty simple decision for me with this game up and over the total with Flexen and Savali. But what do you think there, White Sox and Rays?
Yeah, let me hit that. One last thing. Rutschman, I had him yesterday, didn't come through, but we know how good, even from the right side, he is. But Mountcastle is huge. Look for him. But Westberg, I want to touch on him in the 5-hole. His RBI is like plus 150, and his homers plus 500. I had him circle this. Right, 287, 6 homers, 23 ribbies. 24-year-old, this great Orioles farm system. Look for him for that ribby tonight, or the jack. Against Parker. He loves lefties. Yeah, two shitty pitchers in this one. White Sox finally win in some games. They're still 8-28, are awful. But Savali hasn't been good at all. This would be like the perfect start for him to maybe pitch well because the White Sox just don't hit. Jimenez, I think you got to look at him if anybody. He's come through a little bit as of late, and he's got good numbers. 6 for 17, a double and 2 homers. And his RBI is 200, plus 195, depending where you shop. And his homers plus 600. Look to him because Savali, even if they win, that's the guy I want with a number like that in this one. On the flip side, when I looked at the props, it'd be Yandy Diaz in this, but it's 1.5 bases, like minus 115. He's 4 for 8 off Flexen. I can't do that. I'm not taking that bullshit price there. But Paredes in the 4-hole, his over 1.5 bases plus 140. It's the same as his RBI. I think you could flip it. One thing with Paredes, in the last 12 games, 7 of the games have been on multi-hit games he's had.
Which just gets done for total bases,
Exactly. And he's in the 4-hole. He should probably get to the ribby, but it's basically equal price. And when I see this guy consistently, I think he had 3 hits yesterday. 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits. I'm like, I'll take it there at the plus 140 there, and his Jack's plus 475 a little there because I think they get to Flexen at some point today.
I always laughed that his name is spelled Isaac, but we call him Isak Paredes. Yeah,
Isak Paredes. Yeah,
Isak. Even though it's spelled like you look at it, it's like Isaac. Come on, Isaac Paredes. No, Isak. But he's a good hitter, and we'll see if he can come through against this wobbly White Sox pitcher. All right, the last game before you joined us was Astros-Yankees. Our old friend Spaghetti Arrighetti here for the Houston Astros, Rodon for the Yankees. Look at this total, man. 8.5 all the way, blew through 8.5, blew through 9, and it's all the way up to 9.5 now. I think there's a big wind blowing out, though, at Yankee Stadium. It's very mild, in the Northeast U.S., which I mentioned a few moments ago. So, and I know I don't trust Arrighetti. Rodon's been good, but historically there's been an Astros lineup that's usually done damage against lefties. Not as much this year because this offense has been out of whack, but people thinking there's going to be runs. What about you?
Shout out to Mikey M, my dude, Cheshire Cat. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. This is Bobano. He's been redoing this.
100. We need more. Much
he's
more.
At 100. He had to restart everything again when his Twitter and his YouTube got taken away. So
hit that subscribe button. Big time. Yep.
Appreciate you, my dudes. Mikey, check him out too. Yep. Here in an hour and a half, 2 hours for the last call. Love going on there. Yeah, wind blowing out. One thing I had the Yankees yesterday, Bobano, and my link was to that over. I didn't get it. I got bit the day before with a team like the Mets. You were on Mets Cardinals. They went over yesterday, of course, but they should have went over that game. Both teams had 10 hits and just goddamn.
Monday that was a tough beat on that. 100%.
Oh, that was the shits.
Yeah,
because I was on that too. Yeah, wind blowing out here. Arrighetti's looked a little bit better, but this is kind of the shit spot here now. Back on the road. Because I didn't think he's as horrible, as some of these starts he's had. And I think even the last game against the Guardians, his last start, was pretty good. The Astros scored like 8 runs or 6 runs late. It was 8-2, I'm pretty sure. And that one, Rodon got ripped. Now we're up to 9.5. I kind of missed it yesterday. Maybe this gets over. The Astros, there's some good numbers off, Altuve, a few others they've seen him a ton. So maybe it does get over. Wind blowing, you're right. 15 miles an hour, dead out to center field, basically, at Yankee Stadium in this one. I had to go. The one, he didn't come through with the RBI, but Juan Soto's been so much money for me all year long in the props. And if he would have came through, I could have had a massive day yesterday. I think you go look back to him. Verdugo, now that he's in the 4-hole, I think he hit that big homer yesterday. You got to feel good. This guy's at the perfect age, Bobano, where it's like, he could really step up. He's not a power hitter. He's more of a doubles guy, but this is a guy who probably could hit 30 home runs in like a career best season. Yep. 25, 30. So especially if he's going to bat in the 4-hole for the Yanks. And one other one, I just think he's slowly getting around. I think the price is good on him with a guy like Arrighetti because they haven't seen him yet, but is Rizzo. His RBI is plus 200. And you get his jack around plus 600.
Terrible start to the season, Anthony.
Yeah, he was rough.
Yeah,
he was rough. Coming around, he had a 3-run homer the other day, swinging a little bit better. I like that where he's at in the lineup, basically like in the 6-hole in that one. So, yeah, I lean over with you in this one. But no way. Now the Yankees are this price. I don't want them. Not with Rodon.
Astros a little bit right now.
Yeah. Yes. You got Arrighetti, but you think there's some runs in this game. I'd look that way as much as I love the Yankees yesterday. Yeah. Just a tough one to take because basically, if you don't mind the juice, go ahead, but not for me. You go team total, or I'd have to lay minus the half or the run line here with the Yanks at home.
No doubt. We're on the same page there. Over primarily, but we kind of both lean to the Astros too at that nice plus price. All right, we're all Connor's all caught up. We only have 2 games left anyway, still to go through. Seattle and Minnesota is next up. Mariners and Twins. George Kirby and Chris Paddock, the pitching matchup here. Even money, pretty much minus 110. 7.5 the total in this game. It's funny. Mike M was up with us on the Ice Guys live betcast last night during the hockey. Mike M joined us, did a great job, and we were talking because we were keeping an eye too on the baseball scores. The ball was flying out of Target Field last night. Wow. I mean, that's not a common occurrence for that ballpark. So the question is, does that continue tonight? Because I'll tell you what, just when you look at these 2 pitchers, I want to be looking maybe under with these 2 pitchers because you look at George Kirby, he to me is a bet on pitcher all the way for me. I think this guy's got the goods. He's been outstanding the last 4 starts, 3 runs allowed in his last 24 innings pitched for George Kirby. So he's been on a roll here for the Seattle Mariners. And I'll admit that I'm pleasantly surprised what I've seen out of Chris Paddock, for the Minnesota Twins, a guy that was in the San Diego organization previously. He's pitched pretty well for the most part. A couple of shutouts against the White Sox and the Red Sox. He pitched a gem in his last start. Did get roughed up a couple by the Angels and then one really bad one against Baltimore. But there's been more good than bad from Chris Paddock. We know there's a Mariners lineup that sometimes can scuffle to hit the baseball, even though I think the last 10 or so games they've been better at the plate. I mean, I would certainly lean under with the form of these two pitchers. My only concern is another place where it's a mild night, the wind might be blowing out just a bit, and the ball was flying out of this ballpark last night. But certainly in terms of the pitcher form, you'd think there'll be fewer runs than more runs in this game. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, Mikey. Yeah, I like Pena. He's in the 4-hole too tonight for the Astros, a little bit up there. I don't mind that look at all when these lineups came out. One thing we talked about it a few days ago, Bobano, is just some of these totals now. It's a little bit debate the 7.5. I know. We're getting to that point and Kirby saw but could get touched on the road as much as I love his stuff. And Paddock has been really good, but consistently through his career when he was with the Padres, I wanted to fade for the most part, and it was good money. Twins were playing well. They lost. I kind of like the Mariners in this game. Wind blowing in. Do we get more runs? Because I lean to the under. I just can't take a game like this. So it's 5-3, and I lose it to the under. And then the first 5, which I get all these 4s like today. This one's not too bad. You can find basically minus 115 everywhere. It seems like they're minus 120, 125. So the tax is there, and we're seeing the offenses though come out a little bit. Even today, the last few days, not everywhere, but I got to look out for that because every year I stay with it. It's been different in the rule change, and then this year's come out hot to the under. It's been money for me. But I know it's heating up. It's getting warmer weather. These guys are starting to get locked in from the spring. So I think you got to look more to the over. I don't know about this game because I think it's under. I lean that way. Yeah. I don't trust these bats. And these have been 2 of my top 5, 8 under teams. White Sox, there's these teams that can't hit that have good pitching.
Yes.
The bats. But these teams will start hitting. Mariners will go on a little hot run, whether it's July or all these teams will. This is 162 games. So, but yeah, I lean under. That's I have you look for, and I want the Mariners. I'm looking that way. I haven't bet it, but I'm leaning there.
Yeah, me too. Leaning Mariners, leaning under. Haven't bet either. May not. That's basically where I'm at here with this as well. All right, the final game for MLB for this Wednesday night: San Francisco and Colorado. Hicks and Lambert, the matchup here. We've got the Giants minus 165 road favorites, 9.5 the total here in this game. Jordan Hicks, this is someone that's been with the Blue Jays most of his career, with the Cardinals, mostly a reliever in his major league career. They're trying him out as a starter, and for the most part, it's gone really well for Jordan Hicks. He's gotten off to a very fine start here, first month of the season for San Francisco. He ran into a little bit more trouble last time against Philadelphia, but that Phillies lineup is like murderer's row right now with the way they've been hitting for the last several weeks. So other than that, though, Hicks has been very good. We'll see how he fares here against the Rockies. He's never pitched at Coors Field, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fares. I think he's got the chance to pitch pretty well. I'm not a Peter Lambert guy. I'm just not for the Rockies. 10 runs, 6.1 innings in his 2 starts this year. That's not good. Last year in September, he faced the Giants. He gave up 6 runs, 8 hits, and 5 innings. So not only 2 rough starts when he was in the rotation back earlier in the season for Lambert for the Rockies, but he also got quote-unquote rocked, no pun intended, by the Giants last year when he faced them in San Francisco. To me, I would look at a Giant first 5 full game type of run line split kind of deal. I think it's just they're certainly the better team. They've got the better arm on the mound. And look, this Rockies home field, the years past, Colorado, you at least could bet them at home, fade them on the road, because the road they were atrocious, but at home at least they'd be 500 or better. Not this year, CMAC, 5-11 at Coors Field in their 16 home games. So yeah, they're not winning on the road, and now they're not winning at home either. this Rockies team. So, yeah, it would be Giants or nothing here in this game for me. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just right now until the Rockies at home get going. I can't back him. One with Lambert, we're gonna just get 2 innings, and he's been okay. Or even in the 2 or 3 innings he's gone, a few of these he's gotten fucking lit up. He's given up 6 and 4 in a few of these. I mean, he can't do that. He's basically gonna see just the lineup once in this game. And look how bad this Rockies lineup is. I mean, after Tovar, McMahon, Diaz, Rogers, Doyle, Goodman, back. Like, who the fuck are these guys?
McMahon and supposed to be a big hitter. He has been kind of disappointing. I mean, you go on down the list.
Yeah, he was hot to start the year. And, I mean, but they've got, I had a piece of him first.
Charlie Blackmon's getting old. Let's call it the way we see it. You can't expect him to be slugging like crazy now moving.
No, Tovar's solid at short. And Diaz is a decent, he's not a 4-hitter. On most other teams, he's, hitting 6th or 7th. I just want them to kind of get hot because after Lambert, you got to go the whole bullpen, which blows.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, God damn, I just don't have that trust right now with the Rockies. They have cash for me a few, but I've lost a little bit too many because this is where I want them at home. But one thing, it's cold. The wind's blowing in, not crazy, kind of dead in, just like 8-9 miles an hour.
Oh, it's under weather for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it's under weather. Do we get runs that, like the Rockies, this has happened where I thought after they get goose egged, they're going to come back at home and score runs, and it hasn't happened a couple times. I think that Padres game, finally the third game, I think they won, but like I remember that. They scored like 1 run the next day because it used to be them off a goose egg at home. It was always kind of money that they probably score 5 or 6 runs.
Yeah.
But it's been tough for me to trust. And for Giants, these are games they need to win. Like there's 16 and 21. They're probably a 500 team, maybe worse. Like they need to win these ones. I just don't have a ton of trust in them either. And that under weather I hate because I think there could be runs in this game, but I'm not taking it.
There you go. Yeah, for me, I may sprinkle on a Giants first 5 run line, Giants full game -1 run line. That's I'm interested. I think Hicks has been pretty good, and I don't think he'll be phased by pitching in Coors Field either. I think he's got the
like I said, that lineup. I mean, it's just the first 4 guys really.
Yeah, it's tough sledding for the Rockies. There's no doubt. The bullpen's got a 5 ERA, so not a lot that the Colorado Rockies can hang their hat on. That's for sure. All right, let's move to the association. There we are, NBA playoffs, and only one game tonight in the NBA playoffs. Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks. It's game 2 of this series. The Knicks are 5-point home favorites, 218.5 the total. This total opened 221. It got bet down. People expecting an under and a lower scoring game after a high scoring game 1. I don't know if I fully agree, just because, look, that game 1 started real slow as far as scoring goes, and it still ended up flying over the total. And Indiana's going to push pace. That's the only way they're going to have success scoring against the Knicks. They don't want the Knicks to set up with their half-court defense. They want nothing to do with that. They want to push that ball, score in transition, fast break points. That's going to be the name of the game for Indiana in this series. So I'm not on board with the move to the under. I am somewhat on board with the move to Indiana, though, in this game, because, look, they were right there with the Knicks in game 1. A couple of unfortunate calls that went against Indiana and went toward New York at the end of game 1. I'm not saying that's why the Knicks, found ways, but, a couple of unfortunate calls by the Pacers didn't help either. But the bottom line is Indiana led a good chunk of game 1. They didn't look intimidated playing against the Knicks or in Madison Square Garden. And I think, look, the only concern that I have, because everything I saw in game 1 tells me Indiana can compete with this team and hang with this team. I don't think they're going to win the series. I think the Knicks will win the series, but they can compete with the Knicks. And everything I saw in game 1 showed me that and tells me that. My only concern is that was such a painful loss given the circumstances. They led such a big part of that game. They had it in their fingertips. They let it slip away late. They had a couple of questionable calls go against them. And to lose like that's a tough pill to swallow. Do they fall flat, or can they pull themselves up off the mat, pick themselves up and say, you know what, dust themselves off and say, hey, we were good enough to win game 1. we bring that same level of performance tonight, we're going to be right there with a chance to win again. So my only concern is after getting so close, maybe they get blown out tonight. Indiana falls flat. New York plays a better game start to finish. That does concern me, but I'm still going to take the points here with Indiana because everything I saw in game one is they can compete with this Knicks team. And I think I'm gonna buy into they're not devastated. They're not demoralized after game one, but rather they're galvanized, as in we had a chance to win that. We should have won it. Let's come out even stronger here in game two and try to get a split going back to Indiana. So I'm still going to take the 5 here, +5 with Indiana here in game two tonight. Connor, what do you think here? Game two, Pacers Knicks.
Yeah, I worry a little bit because game one, I had the Pacers. I got the cover, and I had a little bit of the team total over 111 too. Kind of just correlated. I think if they get to 111, they cover this number, and it was some questionable calls there down the stretch. This total's been a little bit wild. It's kind of been like going up and down, kind of all since the morning. Bobano, I don't know what to make of it because that game one, I like the over. The only thing that keeps this under is that the Pacers are just off with a bad shooting night. Because like the Knicks are okay defensively with OG, but they just talk about their depth isn't there. And it's just tough. These guys got to play 40 minutes. It's difficult. So as much as I love the under, I think this could get back over. I just don't love it in this one. And, Brunson's going to be huge. I know I've seen this already out on Twitter, but DiVincenzo. And he probably gets this. It just seems like everyone on his points over. But it's like he has to basically, because he's going to play that much, score 20, it seems like. He's basically the second offensive option. He's going to shoot a ton of threes. I know that's kind of like the squarest kind of thing to give out, but I think it is what it is in this game. Halliburton, I talked about, he's not anywhere it needs to be. Only at 6 points. I don't know how much more he'll be all right. I think if he does, he's just getting by. He gave you 15 to 20, maybe. But everyone else played all right. Siakam was good. Turner was a lot better. I think the Pacers can hang around. Now we're getting 4.5. I'm not getting 6.5 like I got the other night. But I think this game could be close. So I'm off after all this bullshit. I lean Pacers again. I think they can hang around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I worry they have the bad shooting night. I want to go back to the team total here, which is what? 106 for Indiana?
Yeah.
I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, 106.5.
106.5, 107. Yeah, for their
team. Yeah. I worry they might not get there tonight. But I think they can. I'm still sitting with this. You talked about this is the only game. God, I just worry they fucking have a bad night at the office a little bit shooting. And it couldn't get there. But that's where I'd want to be. I'd take the team total over the 4.5.
All right. Liking the over 106.5, 107 with the team total. I'm on the plus points with Indiana. I lean to the full game over. I'll probably add that smaller. I like the Indiana side more. One prop I do like, though. DiVincenzo, I wouldn't argue with that. And I know he had a bad game one for the Knicks. This is a guy that's actually been pretty good offensively, especially in the games in the playoffs at Madison Square Garden. And this includes going back to the regular season. And he just didn't have a good game one. It happens. You're not always going to have a great game or a great shooting night. And maybe it's because he ended up not scoring a single point. He went 0 for 2 from the field. He still played almost 11 minutes, even though he didn't score. And because of that, they basically dropped his points prop tonight from 8.5 down to 5.5, just after one bad game for the Knicks. I'm going to go Miles McBride over 5.5 for the New York Knicks. I think
they dropped to 3 points, right? I mean, it was 8.5 game one. A lot of people are on that too. Yeah.
I agree with it. I think that's great value. This guy is very capable. All you need is 2 3-pointers, and you cash this prop. So I think they've just adjusted it too much off just one bad shooting night, one bad performance for a guy that's played well in the playoffs, especially at Madison Square Garden. I think that's just way too much of an adjustment there. 5.5, he bounces back, especially in a spot like this for the Knicks here, at home trying to take a 2-0 series lead. Like I say, I think he'll have a much better offensive night tonight. And all we need is 2 threes from him, either 2 threes or 3 twos. And I think he's capable of getting it. Now that it's down to 5.5, so it's value. Whether he hits or not, it's value now that his prop is only 5.5 because it's been 8.5, 9.5 for much of the playoffs.
Yeah. This one thing with these two, they of course early on in the year they were playing. No one's playing really any defense. These totals were going over. They had that 109, 105 where they lost early in the year, but it's like I just think the Pacers think they know they can play with these guys. You know what I mean? Like it's like the Knicks aren't that much better than them, even though they're dealing with a few things. And we talked about the other day why I love the Pacers in the first game. I just want that the depth of the bench. I just think they have more guys, and it will be a little bit fresher than the Knicks, especially as the series goes down. But on a guy like McBride, they need him, the Knicks. They can't probably get away. It's just like every night Brunson, he's going to shoot that much. It's like, okay, bud, he's going to have a shitty game. Like, you got to score 45 every night to fucking win. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not easy.
Yeah, I like McBride. That's my favorite prop in this whole game. I think for the Pacers, Obi Toppin, it wouldn't surprise me to see him because he knows that building. He was with the Knicks before. I could definitely see him maybe having some contributions tonight, but I would maybe look at him on the Pacers side. But no, I definitely think there's good value now with Miles McBride with his props going into game 2 tonight. Again, dropping down to 5.5 just because of one bad game, I think is a bit of a overreaction. All right, NHL.
Real quick, Bobano, to hit on it. I hate that he kind of had a solid game, but I think Miles Turner has to keep playing. His points are 17.5. He had 23.
Right.
And he's got to score around 20. I'd look at that. And one other, it's cashed. Everything in this number, though, is saying like a little bit to me that maybe he goes under. But Nebhard, his points are 10.5, minus 105. It's right around the best number you can get. He cashed that basically the whole series with the Bucks. And he just had 11 game 1, but he's going to get the minutes. And I think he gets over that. Again, it might be a little bit of a sweat. A lot of these games, 15, 16 that he cashed, but I was looking at that today too, the Nebhard points.
Nemhard points, yeah. A good Canadian player. One of many.
Yeah, there you go.
Still standing in the NBA playoffs. That's a Canadian basketball player and doing a heck of a job. Andrew Nemhard has had a nice playoffs for the Indiana Pacers. All right, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs. If you wanted my thoughts on the games tonight, check out the Ice Guys show from earlier today. But for CMAC, we've got Boston, Florida, game 2, Edmonton, Vancouver, game 1. What are you liking on the ice tonight?
Oh, man. Well, yesterday was like so good. Sometimes I'm like, and I don't have as many bets as you have, Bobano. It's like everything went to the T last night. The Rangers won. That got over. Lafreniere, the few I had got there, and the over, got there.
You know what the beauty of that game is? You mentioned you were on the Rangers, huh?
Yeah.
I was on Carolina, but primarily their team total over 2.5. I had way more on the over 2.5 team total for Carolina than the full game. I knew they would come back strong and fight back strong, give a great effort, and I thought they could get to 3, but I was concerned about the way they've been taking penalties, and their penalty kill has struggled, so I said I'm putting more on the team total, and it saved me. It's why I'm profitable out of that game.
That was a great move because people were looking at, and it was a little bit of a head scratcher. I just thought, okay, Carolina all year long will hit this game. They just hadn't been a great team on the road, And the Rangers, one thing, they've been pretty dominant all year at MSG.
Yeah. So
now we go back, they'll be even more. But I thought when this started, even in game 1, and then it went crazier because, and this is a tight series. Like, I mean, come on, it was 3-3. It went to OT. Yeah. But I just thought like game 1 of them should have been like minus 125 Rangers.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but that's what I thought, for both games. So as I plus 105, I'm like, well, maybe I'm the square dog, and look, it cashed. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm just going off from what we watch. sometimes, and what's going on, what we see from these two teams. I think the Panthers here in this one come back and play well, but I don't want them again. I didn't want them there. I think Boston is feeling pretty good. After the horrible, last year's playoffs where they coughed it up, they kind of beat them up around even during the regular season this year, did Boston. I think they're feeling well. They got a hot goalie in net. But I think overall the talent of the Panthers will prevail and they'll come out here. This is minus 160. I don't want any part of it at all. And they could score a ton. I kind of like this under. I hate the 5.5. I just get that open goal late. So open. It's 4-2. So that keeps me off this under. So tough game. I think the Panthers. Kachuk's been money for me last year. Even the game he came through. His props. I know not the best now, but he's been money. But I think some of these Panthers you could look at for Hagee, Montour. I think they get the job done today with the props.
I'm with you there. I think Florida's game to win. I think they will tie it up, but I just can't lay this price. And there's very little pathways with value for Florida. Money line, no. Team total over 3.5 to score 4 goals. Hell no. A guy that's not giving up more than 2 goals in the playoffs, and Jeremy Swayman, for Boston in net. I can't pull the trigger on that either. First period puck line, Florida, because they're going to come out strong. When's the last time Swayman's given up a goal in the first period of a playoff? Yeah. So I'm totally.
I guess you could look at that, but it's nothing. It's crazy. Like you could maybe take a shot with that, Bobano, that first period, but it's like, not even that.
Cash that bet. That's the thing. And Swayman's not giving up first period goals. He's not giving up goals. Period. Right now, no more than 2. In any start in the playoffs for Jeremy Swayman. So it's a Florida spot. It's just the value sucks. There's no pathway that I'm like, that's great value for Florida. I really feel good. So we move on. And what do you think about the other game? We finally get underway with the all-Canadian matchup, Edmonton-Vancouver, game 1.
Oh, the all-Canadian matchup. One of these teams is going to win, Bobano. So that's good. One more.
We'll have a Canadian team in the conference finals. Yes, in the Final Four. Yeah.
In the conference finals. I think this Oilers team is really good. But I'm moving here, I think, on the Nucks. I've been staring at it all day long. And I'm going to get there.
I think Vancouver in game 2 because I'm not sold on them winning game 1 because I don't know. I think Shilov's the young goalie. Tonight could be a little baptism by fire. And then they come back strong in game 2. My hope is Edmonton wins tonight, and then I'll probably take the plunge on Vancouver in game 2 if they lose tonight.
Yeah, and the books they really love this Oilers team, and it basically took care of itself in the Kings series. But that's always been, we talked about, a shitty matchup. For the Kings. They got a couple wins, but they just kind of got beat up, especially the last 2 years or so. Oilers Kings. Yeah, the young goalie, he's been very good. And when I think about this, that's why it's a little bit different to make kind of the bet that I'm going to do with taking the Canucks. Because you think he's got to play well and it stays under. But I don't know how it does. I don't know how it does. So maybe I just cash one of these. The Oilers get hot. Because I have to take the over here with 6. These teams, I know it's the regular season. They just seem to get together and score a ton of goals. And the Canucks kind of get out of what they trying to play at times this year, tight checking. And it just kind of goes to the wayside and we start to see goals. Because obviously the Oilers are very talented, especially offensively. And I think the Nucks can get their own. And this is big. We'll see what Skinner can do if he could really step up and be big here. But with the 6, this is 6.5. It's different. I think maybe the under could be big in a goal in a late game here. And we're going to have unders, I think, in this series. There's going to be these goalies play well, especially at 6. There's 3-2, a game like that, 4-1. But at 6, I got to take the over here. So I'm going to have a bet on the Nucks and a bet on this over. and see what happens. Maybe I rip, see how good this Oilers team. I'll dare them to win on the road. Vancouver has just, before this, just this year, they've owned them a little bit.
Yep.
They kind of kicked their ass. I know. I hate going back to the regular season. It's always different. Playoff
and
hockey.
2 of them were when the Oilers sucked, like the first 2 games
Yes.
of the season. Yes.
That's correct. 2 of them were right away and beat them up. But, yeah, I think they could get some success here and score early, too. I was even looking first period maybe with the Canucks. But, yeah, full game, and I'll have the over. At 6, Oilers game. I have to have the over. And it might get me if I win one of the 2, but I just, for some reason, game 1, and I know other people probably like this under if you look around between these 2, which I could see, but I have to have the over.
Yeah, that's I heard that too. Dynamic breakdown. One of these teams is going to win. Yes, that's all right. He's bringing the cold hard facts, Mike. Yeah.
No shit. One of the teams are going to win, Mikey. Come on.
Get with the program, Mike. One of the teams is going to win. He's not saying lies.
Every game.
Yeah.
I'm on the Nucks, and I'm on the over. So one of those might win.
I definitely think there's a little value in Vancouver. I'm waiting to see if maybe they, like I said, maybe they stumble tonight, and if they do, I'll bet them in game 2. But I'm off a side tonight. I'm with you totally on the over. I think that's the best bet in this game. It's the over. Look at all the game 1s. Every game 1, 3-0 to the over with game 1 overs in this round. Look at all the game 1s in the first round. Many of them went over, more overs than not. So for first game of a series, it's sloppy. Nobody's as locked in defensively, and we're seeing a pattern in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Overs early in the series, unders late in the series. That's what we're seeing.
That's true too. But in the end, you're exactly right. In the other game, I like that under. I hate that it's a 5.5, but I like that a lot. This one, I like the over. Give it to me. I just I have to roll with it.
I'm with you. I agree. Over.
We'll see how good this Oilers team is, because they're a little bit not like the Leafs, but the last 4 years with McDavid, a lot of hype and a lot of fucking losing and getting bounced out. So show it to me. Shove it. Yeah. Come on, Mikey. You probably love him.
That's right.
He's blowing,
we'll see if this young goalie's got that steely, poised, calm demeanor and that great play in net that he delivered against Nashville, because he did look very good in that series against Nashville, the Latvian Arturs Shilovs for the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll see if he can bring that again against Skinner at the other end, of course, for the Edmonton Oilers. Great stuff. There we go. We did a little everything there, a little sports betting potpourri on this edition of Bet with Bobano. Major League Baseball, NBA playoffs.
We got to. The games are a little smaller, man. I got a little more time.
Yeah, exactly.
Half the MLB games were done.
Yeah.
If we had a whole slate, it'd be a little quicker, but
no doubt. That's
chop it up.
Talk it. We can chop it up, talk them out, and we'll continue to do that too as we get later into May. There'll be less games, so we'll really be able to take our time and give you an in-depth breakdown and analysis, definitely, of each game. But yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat, Mike M, Cheshire Cat, and of course appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button. 81 people on the platforms all together tuning in, so we appreciate that. Hit the like button is on the way out if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel, because that's where you will find Bet with Bobano Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Best bets to wrap up the show. C-Mac, what do you got for best bet?
Best bet, here we go. Oilers, Nucks, over 6. Goals, maybe they shove it to me. Goals, over 6.
Yep, that was my Ice Guys best bet earlier today.
Oh, was it?
Canucks Oilers over 6. So
great minds think alike.
Totally agree.
We're going to look like an idiot.
Yep.
If it's 2-1, but
yeah. Hope not, but it hasn't been that way with the game 1 matchups. Look at every game 1 in this round alone. Bruins Panthers over the total. Rangers Hurricanes over the total. Avalanche Stars game 1 last night over the total. So I think we see more of the same. So I'm with you on that one. My best bet, I'm going to go to the NBA playoffs. I'm going to trust Indiana here, +5. They could have won the last game. The effort was great. They didn't look scared or timid against the Knicks. I think we've got ourselves a close game. Maybe the Knicks win again, but I don't expect it to be by any sort of margin. So Indiana Pacers +5. against the New York Knicks in Game 2 of that NBA Eastern Conference semifinal series. That's going to be my best bet here on Bet with Bobano. But yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat. Again, it's mostly going to be a nice, quick, show with just MLB, the remainder of the NBA and NHL playoffs. We will throw in some CFL on this show once we get to CFL season starting next month in June.
Bobano, CFL guy right here.
Coming. And again, you got CBS Sports Network showing a lot of these games in the U.S. Once again this season. So looking forward to that. And that's, not that far away. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Great show as always for Connor Mack. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Rich, good luck to your Canucks. And we'll be back with you on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for the next edition of the show. As always, bet like Tony Soprano, bet with Bobano, and we will see you next Monday right here on Bet with Bobano.
Base.